You don't need to sit and watch the entire budget. You can go watch Cobra Kai or Emily in Paris, whichever show you like. Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So on today's video, we are going to understand the relationship between budget and stock market. Now take a look at this chart and you will see that back on 1st Feb 2021, when the budget announcement was made, the stock market jumped by roughly 4.7%. Now this was a big jump. Now you would rejoice. You would say that Akshat, something similar might happen in the stock market again. So let me start buying stocks now, because on 1st, when the budget announcements are made, I will 100% make profit. You might not be right. So that is precisely the discussion that we are going to have. So I've split this video into three specific parts. One is that I will help you understand what is it that budget actually does, what is the primary objective. Second, what is the relationship of budget with the stock market? Third and finally, what are some of the key things that you should look into a budget as an investor? And what are some of the key specific things that you need to keep in mind? So let us get the video started, and a very quick concept around statistics, which can be explained by a wonderfully captured graph. And this is the graph here. Just zoom it out and watch it very, very carefully. You will see that there is a relationship between ice cream sales and polio cases. As more ice cream is consumed, the polio cases go up, and as fewer ice cream is consumed, the polio cases come down. Now, this is a very weird comparison, and concept around statistics tells us that correlation is not equal to causation. Now, please Google what correlation and causation means. I will not explain you the meaning, because if you do this simple exercise, you will understand a lot of viewpoints. Now, why is this exercise important? Because over the next few days, you will hear a lot of news channels, YouTubers, bloggers, this, that, speaking a lot and giving a lot of data about how specific aspects of the budget relates to the rise or fall in the stock market. Not correct, right? So that is the understanding that you need to have, that correlation does not always equal to causation. So that is a very important concept. Now let's move on to the core of the video. So first and foremost, let me help you understand the utility of the budget. So simply put, budget is a document which gives an estimate of how much money government is going to spend on key aspects, key industries, key schemes, and how the government is going to raise that money. So that is all the budget is. It's not too different from how you and I create our housing budget. We have an estimate that every month our kharcha is going to be this. So if you're sitting and planning our budget at the start of the year, we will allocate that, okay, you know what, 10% of my salary will go into traveling, 15% of my salary will go into my food budget, so on and so forth. So our housing budget is not too different from the national budget that is presented. For example, if you take a look at this particular graph, you will see that in 2021, there were certain key highlights in the budget that were announced. For example, 35,400 crore will go into COVID-19 vaccination. 3.05 lakh crore will go into scheme to assist discoms. 1.97 lakh crore will go into PLI scheme, which is production linked incentive schemes, so on and so forth. So essentially on every budget, government just dictates that, hey, this is what our roadmap is going to be, and this is where we are likely to spend our money. Now, problem happens that you will go on the news channel, you will read newspaper, and everyone will talk about budget, and your head will spin, because you will just assume that, okay, this is like some document which impacts the stock market so much that all my decisions should come from this particular budget narrative, which is completely wrong, and I will get to that in a minute. But to complete this thought process, there is a very specific aspect that the budget solves. What it does is that it gives sectoral indications. For example, if you take a look at this particular paragraph, you will see in 2021, government provided concessional credit boost to farmers, and they provided agricultural development funds, availability of agricultural infrastructure fund to APMCs, expansion of Operation Green scheme to include 22 perishable products, 1,000 more mandis to be integrated with ENAM. Now, these are sector specific plays that the government announced for the agricultural sector. Now, for every sector, they will come out with certain set of schemes. Important point to note from this particular discussion is that when government says that we are going to do these 10-15 things for farmers, hardly 2 or 3 of them will get done. So these are like chunavi wade, so please don't take them on face value, and please don't take all this discussion to be set in stone. Now the question would be that, okay, Akshat, is budget a completely useless document? Should we not even bother with it? The answer is yes and no. Yes, I'm saying something completely controversial, so let me expand upon it. So if you take a look at this particular chart, you will see the Nifty 50 movement on every budget day. So some years, for example, in 2012-2013, the Nifty fell by 1.2%, 1.8%. Then on some good years, for example, on 2017 when budget was announced, then the Nifty moved up by 1.8%. In 2021, with the budget announcement, the Nifty moved by 4.7%. And every newspaper was quoting that, you know what, that this was such a great budget that it was able to move the needle of the economy, and now everything will skyrocket. The answer is no. right? You have to understand the genuine reasons for such large, sharp upticks and downticks. So if you go back to 2021 story, the first Feb 2021, in the 5 preceding days, the Nifty actually fell a lot. Something similar has happened this time also, that the Nifty has been falling quite aggressively. So if on the budget day, Nifty moves up or gives like a 3%, 4%, 5% up move, it does not mean that the market moved due to a great budget. It simply means that the downfall in the last few days has been so high that the recovery has happened. That's pretty much it. That's how you need to look at it. Now you will say, Akshat, can you explain fundamentally as to why budget has like no serious impact on the stock market per se? Yes, I can explain that, and it can be easily understood by doing some rational analysis. Now tell me this in the comment box. What do you think are government priorities? I'm not saying changing government priorities. I'm simply saying what has been the government priorities for the last 50, 60 years in India. Number one, Garibi Hatao. Number two, support the farmers. Number three, tax padhao. They will not say it tax padhao, but essentially that is the goal of every budget, that one way or the other they will increase taxes, or they want to make as much money as possible, keeping the political feasibility alive. This is the most important part, because every government would want to impose like 98% tax. But the problem is that you can't do it because people will be there revolting on the road. So you can't do it. That will not make a lot of sense. So political feasibility of the decisions need to be there. But to cut the long story short, the government's stated priorities stay the same and they allocate the budget accordingly. It's not as if that something revolutionary is happening here. So don't waste insane amount of time just over analyzing budget. It will not help you at all. Now comes the important part, that if you are an investor, what are some of the key things that you should keep in mind from the budget? Now, as stock market investors, we should just keep an eye out for 3 specific things that are happening on the budget. Now, first and foremost, we must be concerned about the taxes. A few years back, government changed the long-term capital gains tax structure. They changed the tax treatment on dividend. So this impacted the stock market negatively. So keep an eye out for taxes, and there are 3 types of taxes that we must keep an eye out for. One is personal income tax. Now here they have already broken the back of individual taxpayers. It's not as if that government can charge us 65-70% tax now. We are already hitting that 45% effective tax mark, and that is more than enough tax that anyone should be paying. So I don't think that any major changes are going to happen here. Now, yes, there will be some kind of weird accounting that will happen, that, you know what, we are giving you 3% rebate here, 4% rebate there. But from the other side, they will do some kind of maneuvering and take the taxes elsewhere. So yeah, don't worry too much about it. Second thing comes around corporate taxes. Now this year, corporates have been hit really badly in terms of increasing price inflation. So I don't think corporate tax rates are going to be increased. Now the narrative with the corporates is fairly simple, that you want more people to come and set shop in India. And if you are charging very high corporate tax rate, then why would companies come and set up shop in India? So again, this is something where not a lot of action might happen. Now third is called as sin tax. Now sin tax is levied on companies like ITC, which are selling tobacco, or they might be levied on alcohol producing companies like Radico Khaitan. So keep an eye out for these type of taxes. They can hit your individual stock portfolio depending on if you have positions in these type of companies or not. So this is definitely one attribute that you need to keep in mind in terms of analyzing the budget. Now the second key thing that you should keep an eye out for is the remedial spend. So last year it was the COVID situation, which was just escalating and it was destroying life left, right and center. So government came out with a special package in terms of handling the COVID situation. Now this year it's the inflation situation. Now in 2022, inflation all across the world is going to be high. I have been saying this on my channel for at least 6 months now, that inflation is going to be high. Please prepare and curate your portfolio accordingly. Now it's not as if that government will come out with some inflation relief fund or something. So that is not going to happen. Government is already trying to tackle this inflation situation on every month basis by playing around with the interest rates and other options that they have in mind. So again, this is something that you should not worry about, at least for this year's budget. Now, third and finally, this is something which is very interesting. Capital expenditure means the productive expenditure. So where is it that the government is trying to organize its money so that it can generate future returns from that money? That is what capital expenditure means. So it is like you taking a loan for your education. Now, education is not something that you will recover money from in like 1 year or 2 years. Your education, whatever loan you have taken, if you're going to a good institute, you might reap benefits for years to come. So from that particular perspective, government also incurs something called as capital expenditure. So here we need to take a look at that, how is government spending money productively. Now, if it does the exact same thing what it has been doing for the last 60 years, it is not going to create a massive impact. But yes, if they are undertaking new developments around blockchain, supporting startups, creating more industrial park to attract more corporates, then this will definitely be a welcome move from a capital expenditure viewpoint, and that could be classified as a good budget. Now, just to take a side step here, now a lot of governments are trying to reach out to entrepreneurs directly. For example, I get like multiple emails a day from various governments across the world that, hey, you know what, if you're a digital entrepreneur, come and start working from Estonia. Here is like visa benefits for you. Come and start working in Portugal. Here are like these benefits for you. Come and work in Dubai. Here are these benefits for you. So I really hope that government of India does the same, because a lot of entrepreneurs are unfortunately leaving our nation because they are getting better opportunities elsewhere, and that is leading to brain drain and a lot of productive loss for our country. So I really hope that government comes out with some kind of incentive structure and better mechanics to hold this talent, because right now there is a talent war that is going on in the world economy. Alright, so this brings us to the final section of the video. What are some of the key final things that you must keep in mind in terms of the budget? Number one, there is no proven direct correlation between budget and stock market. So please don't believe in that myth. Please remember that polio and ice cream chart that I had shown you at the start of the video. Number two, please only invest in good assets. As long as you have purchased good assets, you have nothing to worry about. Let budget do whatever it wants to do. Number three, please don't trade on news. In terms of budget, we as retail investors are worst placed, absolutely worst placed in terms of trading on news. For example, if you see Nirmala Sitharaman making an announcement that tomorrow there will be subsidy on potato, please don't go and buy agriculture stocks, because all this news is likely to be factored in the stock market already. How does that happen? I'm not here to create controversies. You all are smart enough to understand how all these things work. My simple advice is that please don't trade on news. Now, fourth and finally, it is okay to engage on some kind of opportunistic buying. For example, right now, a lot of sectors, for example, housing finance sector is beaten down. PSU banks are beaten down. They have started giving a little bit of run up. Banking stocks in general are beaten down. So there are likely to be some support around these sectors. Now, I'm not saying this will 100% play out, but this is an opportunistic buying opportunity from that particular perspective. I'm just speculating here sensibly. So if you believe in these type of speculation, it's okay to take a little bit of position, but again, don't make it a core part of your portfolio. So in short, budget is a great document for chai pe charcha, but honestly, it does not create a lot of impact on the stock market. That is the key message that you must understand. And again, please don't waste insane amount of time learning about budget. It will not help. In case some relevant information comes out, I'll make a separate video on that. Just watch that 10-15 minute video and you will be fine. You don't need to sit and watch the entire budget. You can go watch Cobra Kai or Emily in Paris, whichever show you like. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up and I'll see you tomorrow.